Hi amiguis, welcome to today's video. My name is Pam and I like to do different things on this channel, mostly talk about my hobbies, and today is going to be a little combination of two different hobbies of mine, one of them being journaling and the second being traveling. I don't know if you can consider traveling a hobby, but it's just something that I like to do and document. And earlier this year, in late March, my partner and I traveled to New Zealand for 2 weeks. We did a lot of cool stuff, saw a lot of beautiful things, and I documented a lot of it and also wanted to memorialize it through my travel journal. So I made some spreads for the trip and I wanted to bring y'all along, show y'all these spreads and the corresponding travel days. So this is what this video is going to be. I'll keep this short and sweet and just get into the trip footage. This video is going to cover the first half of our trip, which was the South Island. We stayed there for about 5 days, and then we flew over and spent the rest of our trip in the North Island. So that'll be a future video, but for now, here is our time in the South Island of New Zealand. Hope you enjoy. See y'all. So here we are, finally in New Zealand after many hours of travel and a layover in San Francisco. We landed in Auckland. However, our trip itinerary is actually going to start in the South Island. So we still have one more flight to get through from Auckland to Queenstown. Once we got here, we picked up our rental car and checked into our hotel and had a much needed chill first night in this nice hotel by the airport and just decompressed after our many hours of travel. Now it's our first morning in New Zealand, and with jet lag on our side, we are immediately starting our day before the sunrise and we're on the road. A little dangerous to drive first thing in the morning on the opposite side of the road than we're used to, but we have a day of adventure to get to. And our first activity in the South Island was visiting Fiordland National Park and taking a tour to see Doubtful Sound. This tour, I wasn't originally aware because Uriel booked this, but it's quite a lengthy tour. In total, it took up more than half of our day. It was about 7 hours total. And that's because to actually get to Doubtful Sound, you first need to take this cruise on Lake Manapuri, then drive through the park, the national park, on this beautiful but pretty precarious road. And then finally you get to Doubtful Sound and you take another cruise and you go to the coast and out into sea. What's really nice about this tour, besides obviously the beautiful, spectacular views, is that along the way, each leg of this cruise and then the bus ride, it's all being guided by tour guides who are very knowledgeable and gave us a lot of information about the park and about the wildlife and all the vegetation in the park, which was really nice, and we learned a lot. One of the things that we learned was that while these famous sounds in New Zealand, such as Doubtful Sound, which we're visiting today, and then Milford Sound, were given their name by the European settlers when they initially got to the island of New Zealand, geographically speaking, they're actually fjords because they were formed by melting glaciers. So they're not sounds, technically, which is why the park as a whole is named Fiordland National Park. So the more you know. So if you do book this cruise, which I definitely recommend, just make sure that you pack some layers because it can get pretty chilly out on the deck with all the wind hitting you and the splash of water. So make sure you've got a raincoat and just some warm layers. But it was really, really worth it. We loved this cruise. We got a little lunchbox to enjoy on our ride, and we even, once we got out to sea, we got to get really up close with some baby seals. Well, they weren't all babies, but we got really close to some seals that were chilling on this rock, and they were so cute. And we got to observe them for a little while, and it was really magical and special.
It's a baby.
The bus driver and tour guide on our way back out from the national park also stopped at different viewpoints along the way and let us get out of the bus and take in all the nature and beauty of the park for a little bit. So that was really nice and appreciated as well. The ecosystem of this park is so cool and unlike anything I've ever experienced before. We learned a lot through the tour guides, like I said, but just like getting to take it in and experience it and touch it and just breathe it in, it was really a special experience. So, even after spending the entire morning in Doubtful Sound, we started that pretty early, so we still had the whole afternoon and evening free. So, we got checked into our Airbnb in anau, which came with these cutie little pups who were so friendly. And our Airbnb was perfect and so lovely, and just a few minutes walk from the small Tiano town center. So after getting settled in, we walked over to have some dinner, and we ate at a spot called Ditto, and we had some really yummy sushi bowls. And then for the evening, we booked a tour to see the glowworm caves. It was a rainy evening, but that was okay because we were going to go into the caves. So we got on another boat here on Lake Tiano that took us to the cave, and then we did a tiny little hike, and then we got to the cave itself, but we weren't allowed to record or take any pictures because it needs to be pitch black in there for the worms and for you to be able to see their glow. But you'll just have to take my word for it. It was absolutely beautiful and surreal and unlike anything I've ever experienced before. The worms are actually fly larvae, which I know doesn't sound the best. It sounds kind of gross, but they store up
Yeah.
energy and then they drop these little fishing lines that they create, and then they glow and they attract prey. And it's just a crazy biological function that produces a really cool result that I'm so grateful that we got to experience. So our next day started off once again with an early morning, although slightly less so than the first day, which was nice. The sun was already coming out. We got a coffee and headed out to Milford Sound. It was about an hour and a half drive from Tianau, and it was just a stunning drive, we stopped a couple times just to take in the views, take some pictures. One thing about driving in New Zealand is that there are some bridges, or in this case, a tunnel, that are single lane. So you have to yield to the other direction, wait for all the cars that are coming in the opposite direction to pass, and then go. It was a little confusing at first, but once you do it once, you kind of get the hang of it and it makes sense. Just something to note. We parked and then did a little 20-minute hike to the dock for our cruise of the day, which was to Milford Sound. And this is another famous New Zealand sound, probably the most famous of all the sounds in the South Island. It's the most visited tourist spot in all of New Zealand. It keeps saying sound, but as we know, they're actually fjords. This cruise was similar to the previous days, but it's more of a straightforward one because, unlike the Doubtful Sound one where you have to get on multiple ships and the bus through the park, this one just takes you immediately out to the sea. You board the ship and you're on Milford Sound. And since it had rained the evening before, all the waterfalls from the mountains were in full force, and the views were just stunning, top tier, really showing off today. And again, for this tour, definitely recommend layering up. Definitely bring a jacket because you will get splashed. We got lucky and saw another seal today. It was just one single seal, but still so cute. So after the cruise, we headed back to Anau and we visited the bird sanctuary there. This is a volunteer-run sanctuary and they house and rehabilitate birds that are sick or injured or otherwise unable to live out in the wild. And notably, they have 7 of these takahe birds living in the sanctuary. And takahe are one of the native birds to New Zealand, and they are flightless, so they're very prone to predators and they're endangered. But New Zealand has really great conservation and protection programs for their native species. So after visiting the sanctuary and learning about some birds, we had dinner and we ate at this place called the Fat Duck, but we had fish, no ducks, so no worries there. So jumping over to some journaling, we're starting off our New Zealand travel journal. I collected some ephemera while on the trip, mostly maps and brochures of the places that we visited, and I also printed out some pictures and I watercolored some things because there was several things that we did that I didn't get to take pictures of, like the glowworm cave, for example. So I watercolored that and this little takahe bird for the spread of our first few days in the South Island. So I ended up with a total of 3 pages for these days in Anau that included both of the cruises, our visit to the bird sanctuary, and then also our glowworm cave trip. Now getting back to our trip, the next day we started our day with a nice breakfast in Anau, and then we checked out of our Airbnb and we started our drive back to Queenstown to spend a couple days here. We headed straight to our first destination, Skyline, Queenstown, and we got some tickets, and then we rode the gondola to the top of this mountainside. The views of the city from the gondola are sick, stunning, beautiful, and the gondola itself is like super steep, but it goes quite slowly, and you really get to take in the scenery.
And it's got an uphill section.
And then once we got to the top, we strapped in our helmets and then we headed up this ski lift to do some luge rides. And the luge was so much fun, and it doesn't look like you go fast, but really you go quite fast when you're actually on the luge. And me and Uriel just spent hours racing and having a great time. Maybe next time we'll kick it up a notch and try some paragliding, but we did not this time, but it was cool to watch other people do it. And then after our luge rides were done, we got some lunch here. And then we headed out and we checked into our motel. Accommodations in Queenstown were quite limited when we were looking, so we got this motel. It's pretty basic, but it was spacious, did the job just fine. Then we headed out to the city center. We did a little wandering, a little window shopping, and then we went to get in line to try the famous Ferg burger. We didn't time this quite well because we had eaten our fish and chips like not too long ago, so we weren't all that hungry, but we were like, well, we need to try it. It's very famous here. So we ordered one burger to share between the two of us, but it was a very good half burger. But next time we'll definitely time it better so we can have our own full burger to ourselves. And then we got some ice cream at Patagonia Chocolates, which was so good. And we walked by the lake shore during the sunset, and it was a great day in Queenstown. The next day, we started off with some breakfast sandwiches, and then we visited the Queenstown Gardens, which really is just a big public park next to the lake and the city center, and it's got some really lovely walking trails and some really pretty vegetation, so we spent our morning here.
What is that? I think, yeah, he's doing it.
I was really enchanted by these beautiful sequoia trees around Queenstown, this one in particular, but it turns out they're invasive in New Zealand, so
You're working
a
out.
little less enchanting. Don't support invasives, but I didn't know that at the time, so I was enjoying.
Are these roses?
Yep. Cute. Oh.
After our very nice, peaceful morning in Queenstown, we needed to pick up the speed a little bit, so we headed over to the Shotover River to ride the jet boat. These jet boats are famous here in Queenstown, and there's several to choose from in the area, but we went with the Shotover jet, and it was an exhilarating ride. They're designed specifically to go over very shallow water, and they reach like 90 kilometers per hour. And they do these really fun 360 spins, and they get really close to the canyon walls. So it's a little nerve wracking, but very fun. And our driver was great, and I had full faith that he would get us through this experience safely, and it was a great time.
You see it?
After our thrilling ride, we went to the brewery that was right next door, overlooking the river. We got some beers, some pizza. Oh, it was exactly what we needed. So good. Then in the evening, we headed back to Queenstown and back to the gardens with our books, and we just had a nice little wind down, decompressing evening. Back to our travel journal for a second. This was my Queenstown spread with some pictures of skyline and the jet and just some random bits and bobs. And I also wanted to include this postcard that I got of the gondola. And so I wrote a little summary of our time here, and then I added it as a little flip page to this spread. On our 5th morning here, we checked out of our hotel and we headed over to spend the morning in Arrowtown, which is about a 45 minute drive from Queenstown. This is a charming little town, and the main street is full of historic buildings that are now stores, restaurants, coffee shops. Arrowtown was once a gold miner town, and a lot of the history has been preserved in the city, and especially in this main street. We visited the town's library, this small museum, and a post office. Now, word of warning, if you send anything out via this post office, like I tried to do, drop your letter or your postcard in the slots inside the actual post office building, not this retro red mailbox that's very cool that's outside of the post office, because maybe it's not operational. I'm not sure. I maybe ask the staff because my postcards have not arrived yet, so better be safe than sorry. I shouldn't have just assumed like that. Anyway, after Arrowtown, we drove about an hour to the town of Wanaka, and we spent a while relaxing here and walking along the lakeside, and we visited #that wanaka tree, and we got some pictures. And we also did a little bit of grocery shopping here for some breakfast and some snacks because we were prepping for our national park day the next day. Then we headed out to our next destination, the town of Twizel, which was a little over an hour and a half drive. And along the way, we stopped at the Clay Cliffs, which are these cool rock formations on the side of the mountain. We arrived at our Airbnb and we said hello to this cat who was so cute and so friendly. And we are staying in Twizel because it's a short drive to Mount Cook National Park. And we booked our accommodations too late, and everything in the actual park was full. But Twizel is not that far, and this Airbnb was really nice. So we got settled in, and then we headed out for dinner in the town. We had some yummy Thai food, and then we just prepped for the next morning, and we called it a night. So for this page in my journal, I just did a little recap of our travel day from Queenstown to Arrowtown to Wanaka to Twizel.
And having to keep up like appearances that everything's going great, this feeling that everyone around you is always doing better.
So the next morning, we headed out as the sun was rising, and we made our way to Mount Cook National Park. We were driving along Lake Pukaki for a while, and the views were spectacular. We got to the park and the trail parking lot, and we headed to our first hike of the day, the Tarns track. This is a punishing steep vertical hike up 2,200 steps and about 1,800 feet in elevation gain. You get absolutely no respite. It's just switchback after switchback, and it was doable. I'm being maybe a little dramatic, but I wasn't ready for the amount of cardio that this was going to be or how tough on my knees it would be either. But anyways, we made it to the lookout point, and I will say all the huffing and puffing was well worth it for this breathtaking view.
More?
Yeah.
During the climb, I kept thinking we were almost there. I'm like, there's no way there's more climbing to do, and then there kept being more climbing to do, but we made it. It was worth it. The Tarns track is actually part of the larger trail to the Mueller Hut, which is at the top of this mountain. We weren't planning on going all the way there, but Uriel saw people continuing their climb, and he got FOMO and he wanted to keep going, so I said, good luck to ya, see you at the bottom. So we parted ways for a few hours, and he made his way up to the Mueller Hut. And I made my way down to the car, and I waited for him down there for a couple hours. I did take a nice little nap in the car, ate some snacks, and I recovered for a bit. Meanwhile, he made it to the hut, and he showed me some pictures, and the views looked great. We met back up eventually, and Uriel was very beat, but he soldiered on, and we headed out to our second and final hike of the day, which was really more of a nice little stroll to the first bridge on the Hooker Valley track. This track is originally quite a bit longer, with a total of 3 swing bridges along the way, but 2 of them were damaged during a landslide and they're currently still closed for repairs, so we only got to go to the first, but we still got some really cool views from here. After our tiring day of hiking, we rewarded ourselves with a nice buffet dinner at the Hermitage, one of the main hotels at the park. Shout out to this couple that we met on our Fjordland cruises for the hot tip on this dinner with a view. It really was what we needed after a long day in nature. One thing that I wanted to mention about this area is that it is part of a dark sky reserve, so the views of the night sky are incredible, a great place for stargazing, which was one of my favorite things about Mount Cook. And now I'm going to do a little more journaling about our time at the national park. We started off our final day in the South Island by checking out of our Airbnb, saying goodbye to the cute cat who is now chasing a rabbit. He didn't catch the rabbit, thankfully. And we got some coffee, and then we made our way back to Queenstown. We had some really yummy brunch at this cute cafe called The Boat Shed, and then we had some time to kill before we could check into our hotel. So we went to the Queenstown Trail and took a little stroll there, and it was a really beautiful day and a nice little trail that was close to our hotel. And then we got checked in and got situated, and then we headed back out to town. We visited Kiwi Park. This is a wildlife center that houses various native birds and reptiles, and notably has some kiwis that you can visit. They do a lot of conservation work for native New Zealand species who are endangered, including the kiwis. So they raise them here in the park and then they transition them into the wild to try to increase the population in the island. And here in the park, they're raised in dark habitats that mimic the nighttime because kiwis are nocturnal, so you're not allowed to have any bright screens or take any photos, but you are able to get really up close with the kiwis, and they're so fascinating and very cute and funny, and also like a lot bigger than I was anticipating. So I loved visiting this park. The kiwi encounter was very, very cool, of course, but also you get to see the rest of the wildlife that they have here, they house and they care for, and it's really cool, and we learned a lot. So, no footage of the kiwi, obviously. That memory lives in my head and in my heart, but enjoy all this other footage that I got of all the other birds and reptiles that live here.
You big. Right there. By the. Kind of looks like a kiwi.
From Australia. With that, we try to think of the most Australian name you can think of, and they were need about 4 hours of attention per day. Per hour, no touching, I'm afraid. So you might think that Tara here, they have a very primitive form of hearing.
After this, we headed back out to the town. We got some dinner at Burger Rival Devil Burger, and we got some dessert as well, and then we called it a night. So here is one last journal spread for our last day in the South Island. This whole trip and our time spent here in the South Island, in Queenstown, Twizel, anau, all the places we visited was so amazing, so memorable, and so beautiful. Definitely exceeded my expectations. And we are now heading out to the North Island to continue our New Zealand adventures. But we had a lovely time during the first half of our trip, and I can't wait to share the second half of the trip with y'all. But for now, here is how these journal spreads came out. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming along. I'll see y'all in the next one.